Hello, beautiful Capricorns. These are going to be your messages starting in December for the next few weeks or maybe a couple of months. For those of you who are coming back, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming back. And for those of you who are new, welcome. I hope you like what you hear. I'm going to state my intention. My intention is always to give you something that will have the potential to shift how you see things, to shift your perception, to shift how you think. Because the moment you shift how you see things, the moment you shift your perception, your entire world begins to reorganize itself around you. And we are all in an energy of change. We're all in transitions in some way, shape, or form. So you are no different. So let's see where it goes. The number 9 is being shown to me as being symbolic of letting go. And come to think of it, it's we're in a period of heavy letting go of old structures, letting go of resistance, letting go of needing to control things, letting go of our outdated beliefs, obviously ideas. There seems to be relationships, things no longer serve us, things we're attached to. So we're all in a period of letting go. When the universe asks us, or when the universe presents us situations and we fight it, or we are in a space of resistance, that's when we experience the most amount of pain and discomfort. And though it is not easy sometimes when things happen the way they do, to accept and to go with the flow, the reality is that if something is presented to you and it's not very comfortable, but you can't do anything about it, then resisting it will not help at all. And as I'm saying this, I'm going, am I saying something that's going to be taken as something bad? Please don't misunderstand me. There is absolutely no prediction here that is of bad nature. For one, I don't predict. But this is a heavy emphasis on needing to let something go. Perhaps an aspect of yourself that has been responsible for keeping you safe, or the illusion of being safe. So let me tell you what I received when I tune into your energy. One of the first things that I saw was the idea of somebody wearing half a mask. So if you were to imagine yourself wearing half a mask can mean many things. To me, it symbolizes you're not fully being yourself, or you're not allowing yourself to be seen fully as you are, which means you are hiding an aspect of yourself, or you're hiding a part of yourself. Generally, when we hide things, or generally when we hide from things, is because they represent some sort of a fear. So if you are not being yourself, if you are not being true to yourself, if you are not allowing people to see the true you, or if you are holding back because you're afraid that if you show yourself in all your glory, something bad is going to happen, then chances are there's an opportunity here for you to relinquish that part of you. And generally speaking, that part of you is trying to keep you safe, at least in the way you understand your life at this point. So imagine what it would be like if you were wearing a mask, and if that was a metaphor, if that was a symbolic thing to you. What would it say to you? To me, it represents letting go of hiding. And let me just see if I can tune into it a little bit deeper. When we hide aspect of ourselves, it's because something within us does not feel safe. So when we hide, we keep ourselves safe. But the problem with that is that when we do that, we are in this perpetual cycle of believing that the world is unsafe or not safe, which leads you to be very protective of yourself, or protecting yourself a lot. And that's not to say that you have to walk around and be careless. No, obviously that's not the case. But if this is if there is something in it for you, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. There's going to be no explanation needed. You will know that, yeah, there's an aspect of you that you're hiding and you've been thinking about it a lot. And it's an aspect of you that represents a fear. And this is a time of letting things go, particularly the attachments we have to certain fears. 99% of our fears never come true. 99%. And it's common knowledge. Yet we spend a lot of time on trying to prevent whatever it is that we are fearing. And as a result of us preventing us from what we are fearing, we're actually focusing on it. And you know that the moment we focus on anything is the moment we create more of the same, because as from an energy point of view, when you focus your energy in a certain direction, you grow more of what you are focusing on. It's probably not news to you if you are listening to this channel. So the analogy of taking off a mask. Notice if there is truth in it for you. Are you hiding yourself? Are you afraid for people to see you? Are you afraid for people to see you as you really are, rather than the person you're trying to be or the person you're portraying in order to be liked, in order to be accepted, in order to be admired, in order to be respected, whatever it is. So ask yourself if something like that exists in your life. You have a great responsibility to yourself. I mean, we're all responsible people. We're all responsible for so many things. But the most important responsibility we will ever have in our own life is ourselves. Yes, we have responsibility to our children or to our spouses or to our family. Absolutely, yes. But the biggest responsibility you have to yourself. And the responsible thing to do right now would be to look at those hidden aspects of you that you have been trying to protect in order to A, understand why, and B, how to release it. And the reason for that is quite simple. We are entering a period of or energy where we will accumulate a lot of physical manifestations in quite short period of time. In other words, we're entering a period or energy where we will manifest things very quickly. For those of us, or for those of you who are somewhat aware at least, and you understand how this works, the principle of energy and frequency, and you being a being that emits certain frequency, and that frequency attracts like frequency. For those of you who understand that, you will be paying attention to what you are paying attention to or what you are focusing on. Even if some of those things were subconscious to you at some point, but now you're learning more about yourself and you're becoming a much more mindful creator, a mindful person. For those of you who are not as aware yet, this is a message to say the more aware you are of yourself, the less chances you will drag your past with you. And when we enter, and it's happening now, I mean, things manifest in my life so quickly that sometimes I go, holy shit, it's scary. And it's very fast. So if there are things in your life, for example, like you hiding yourself, or you not being able to fully be present in a situation because you're afraid that if you invest yourself too much, then you're going to be taken advantage of. If you have any of those fears, and they generally will produce unfavorable results in your life, then it's really good idea for you to look at these things in great length, in great detail, in order to recognize certain things, predominantly where it comes from, how is it serving you, what lesson is attached or connected to it, and do the best that you possibly can using various methods to release yourself from that. Because if you drag it with you forward, chances are you will experience a little bit more of the same. Not only that, you will experience it sooner rather than later. So it almost is a bit of a warning. But sometimes we need a bit of a warning because we don't listen. And generally we don't listen because, well, if we listen, then we have to do something about it, and then we do something about it, and that means change, and oh my God, and I have to do something different, oh my God, and it's so hard. In other words, it's discomfort. Change is not comfortable. Change is not comfortable. Even the most amazing change can feel a little bit uncomfortable because, well, change means something is coming to an end and something new is coming in. So that can be uncomfortable. At least it can be uncomfortable. But this is not the time to hide. Also, this is not the time to hide from your problems. This is about facing your problems head on. One of the things that I was also getting is, the more we try to make something happen, the more we live in a state of resistance, because the way we try to make something happen, or the way we want the thing that we're trying to make happen, that is based on our ego, our current perceptions, what we think is best for us. But the reality is we often don't know what is best for us. The universe knows far more what's best for you than you know yourself. And sometimes when we cling onto a certain idea, a certain ideal, or a certain something, and we hang on to it for dear life, then we're not allowing life to give to you as it sees is in your best benefit, it is in your best interest. So if you create resistance, that creates a lot of resistance. So a lot of this is about letting go of resistance. Letting go of resistance to go with the flow. And sometimes that means accepting situations that aren't easy to accept. But this is not acceptance of something that isn't easy to accept because you accept it that way is going to be forever. It's about accepting it because that's what it is right now. And it can change, like life changes all the time. However, without having acceptance of it right now, you're fighting it, and that will not bring you peace. And if you are wearing half mask, or if you are holding, that's because there's no peace inside of you. Something is missing. Something is not as peaceful as it could be. So what is it that you might want to focus on? This is brilliant. What are your priorities? Truly, really, what are your priorities? Okay? And that requires you to know yourself very intimately. Why is that? Because if you don't know yourself intimately, you don't know yourself very well. And if you don't know yourself very well, then it's very hard to gauge what your priorities are. And therefore, you may take on priorities that are deemed priorities by other people, but they're not necessarily yours. And if we do that, then we start to live life not according to who we are, but we live life more in accordance to what somebody else thinks, or what the world tells us we should do. So priorities. The other thing that I'm seeing here is the number 3. That's a number of expansion. 0 is the number of the Fool. And as the almost coming to an end of the year, that in itself is an ending. We're coming to an end of a cycle. We're coming to an end of a certain year. We're starting a brand new year. There's a lot of newness energy with that, and it's an energy. 0, the Fool, is an energy that is very potent, but it has no direction, which means it's like a lump of clay, and you get to mold it in however shape you want. However, in order for you to mold it in a certain shape, you first have to have some idea or intention what shape you would like to create from this. So a lot of it is about what are your priorities, and what are these priorities, what intentions are these priorities tied to. So it might be worth looking at what are your priorities in life. If your priority is to be happy, which I would assume that would be your priority, what are the things that are preventing you from being happy? And perhaps, are those things that preventing you from being happy under your control, or are they under somebody else's control? Generally, it's under your control. Are you taking on too many commitments that perhaps you could pass on to somebody else? And those commitments or overcommitments are what is not allowing you to be happy, or it's taking away from you in order for you to take care of yourself. Perhaps, but if that's the case, you need to understand why do you do that? Why do you take on priorities that aren't yours? So there's a lot of digging deeply into who you are in order to understand yourself better. I'm looking at these two blue, are they blue? Yeah, these blue stones that he's wearing on his headpiece. And some of you have a very, very strong third eye, which means you can see things clearly, or your psychic ability, clairvoyance, I believe it's called, is expanding. And that's a good thing. So if you have any throbbing in your forehead, or if you have any head pressures, obviously if it bothers you, go check it out, but chances are it will be connected to your third eye opening. Okay, any kind of head pressures, it is often connected to your psychic centers opening, your crown chakra and your third eye opening. What else do I want to say about these priorities? For some of you, in order to attract a commitment to yourself, presuming we're talking about a commitment that you want to be in, romantic or otherwise, you might need to let go of something as a result. So I see it almost like a handoff. If you want this, you need to let go of this. And that will be different for different people based on a circumstance. But yes, some of you want something and you're having a hard time getting it. And the message is, in order for you to achieve it, to attract it, you have to let something go. And for some of you, it's a physical thing. For some of you, it's a connection you have to something, or attachment you have to something, or a commitment you have to something. And for some of you, it's the commitment you have to your past, or the attachment you still have to your past. So ascerning or discerning your priorities is very important right now. And always remembering that you are your number one priority. You are your number one priority. And if you neglect yourself, you cannot live life fully. Now, there are moments where we neglect ourselves because some things happen and we need to temporarily sacrifice certain things in order to deal with something. So sometimes we need to do short-term sacrifices in order to gain long-term goals. Yes, absolutely. However, if you perpetually sacrifice yourself for the purpose of this or that, and you're the one that is sitting on a back burner and is feeling suffocated and overburdened and overwhelmed, then you're not doing yourself any favors or anybody else. And eventually that will get to you. It will get to you in terms of the way you feel. You will start to feel you will start to feel sometimes even angry. You will start to develop resentment to some of the priorities that you are handling, and it generally doesn't work out very well if it's done for a prolonged time. I'm not talking about temporary sacrifices. So some of you need to really, 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 really examine your priorities. What's really important to you? Not only what's important to you, why is this thing important to you? I just gave that message to somebody else. I don't remember who it was, but you might. So that's the focus over the next few weeks. What are you letting go of? I'm going to show you 3 cards that came in, and I'll tell you what the message I got. So we have the 2 of Swords, the 6 of Swords, and the Hangman. Okay. To me, what came to me right away is you are letting go of either a difficult situation or an uncomfortable situation. Either you are letting go of it in your mind, you are choosing to approach it differently or think about it differently or see it differently, or it's an actual physical move. And I feel here's what I want to say. For some of you, you've been in denial about it for a while. Almost rhymes. And I'm not exactly sure what that is, because there could be so many different things. But if you have had your eyes closed on something that was obvious to you, and as a result of that, it was hard for you to make a choice or decision, I feel that you are moving past it, and you are organizing your life in a different way, and you are letting something go. I have a feeling is you are letting go of some sort of a commitment, or the way you connect mentally and emotionally to a commitment, or the way you see a commitment, the way your beliefs, the way you, whatever you believe about a commitment. There's a transition here that I'm being shown. And whatever the situation was or is right now is one that had you stuck or had you feeling stuck. So you're moving past stuckness. And what I feel here is, for some of you, you're moving past stuckness because life is going to help you. In other words, life will present to you situations that will help and reorganize your situation, or you will willingly choose to let something go, to deal with something differently, to connect with something or someone differently, to change how you see things, how you view things, all those kinds of things. And I feel for some of you, this is going to take place around January, February. And when is your birthday? Oh my goodness, your birthday is, well, your birthday is in January. So just in time for your cycle year to begin. So one ending and one beginning. So we have a new year coming in January, and right around the corner is your cycle year, your zodiac sign year. I don't know what to call it, but you get the picture. So it only makes sense to me that you're dealing with some endings or with some completions. Makes perfect sense to me. Where are you going? There is a different choice to be made, or there is a different path to be taken. For some of you, it's going to be as practical or simple as you shifting gears in your career. You're shifting your career. You're changing your jobs, new opportunity, or exploring different opportunities and choosing different opportunities. For others of you, this is a window of opportunity opening as a result of you choosing to deal with whatever this is for you now differently. So the Two of Wands to me signifies, when I see this, and you're approaching this, it's not here right now, so it's not going to be here in December. It's going to be January, February, somewhere there. And for some of you, this is going to be career, a job move, a job change, the way you take on something that fulfills you or brings you joy. And for others is a different way of approaching things. This feels very significant in terms of physicality. So I wouldn't be surprised if this was an opportunity that some of you are going to be presented with, or you may be in the process of creating it. And remember, when you are shifting and changing, you are constantly creating. You create every single moment of your life when you breathe. Every time you think about something for a prolonged period of time, you are creating that into reality. It's just a matter of time. Okay? We don't think about it that way. We don't know how to effectively manage our energies. But when you understand that your focus is energy, and when you focus your energy in a certain direction that has a certain feeling or has a certain association to you, all you are doing is you're growing more of the same. And there seems to be a change here happening for you, which is a good thing, which is a really, really, really good thing. The card of missing link shows up. The number 4 and 9 I'm being drawn to. 4 is the number of foundations for me personally. That's my sign. 9 is number letting go. To me, you are letting go of old structures, of old beliefs. The missing link to me feels like you are missing something in your life. But the reason why I feel you are missing something in your life is because I feel like you are missing part of yourself. And the reason for that is either you have given up part of yourself in order to be loved, be happy, belong, whatever it is, or someone has taken something away from you emotionally speaking, and you never recovered. And as a matter of fact, this is interesting. I don't usually get into past lives in these messages, but I have a feeling substantial number of you were denied it's like you were denied your own, you were denied something, whether it was you were denied a free will, whether it was that you were denied who you were. For many of you, this is stemming from a past life experience where you were denied something really important. It's like, let's say you were a person of a different skin color in another lifetime, and you live in times of slavery. You were denied freedom because, let's say, you were dark skinned, as an example. And there's different beliefs. You might have been a slave. You might have been in a relationship where you lived with somebody who was very dominant and they controlled you. So it would make sense that some of you are hiding, because chances are it's attached to that energy. However, you don't have to believe in past lives. I always say that, because any energy that you carry from a different lifetime always has to be triggered in this lifetime. So something in this life has to set it into motion. So all you have to do is just link it back to this lifetime and do your work from there, and that would be enough for you to release yourself from your other lifetime's experience, which makes it a karmic experience. So a lot of it is about realigning with yourself and gaining yourself back. Gaining yourself back to meet the notes. You have given yourself away, or you have pushed yourself away. You have denied aspect of yourself. You have denied it. And what happens when we do that? When we deny an aspect of ourselves, which it's pretty hard to deny something that is inherently yours. When we do that, it creates this pocket that has a need to be fulfilled. And when we deny ourselves, whatever void it creates, we try to seek it or get it from the outside, except that never works, because it's temporary at best. At worst, it doesn't work in the first place. So for some of you, it has a lot to do with you regaining your own value. You regaining your own value. And value system seems to be the theme lately, particularly in how it comes across in my sessions and even in these messages. Because at the end of the day, look, we all live life of limitations. That's part of the human experience. It's what our souls have chosen to experience, and that's just the way it is. However, the limitations we put on ourselves, or we allowed others to put on ourselves, are far, 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 far more than the actual limitations we have as a human being because of being in a physical body. So regaining yourself means, is that what it was? Yeah. Regaining yourself means you are gaining back being in control, feeling in control, but don't confuse that with being controlling or being control freak, which is controlling. Don't confuse those. Those are two different things. As a matter of fact, if you are controlling, it's because you don't feel in control. So it's about regaining being in control. It's about regaining feeling in control. It's about regaining feeling in charge. When you feel like you are missing something in your life, then it's important for you to recognize first what it is. Because it's not enough to say, I don't know what's missing in my life. Because when you don't know what's missing, it's going to be very hard for you to fill it, right? On the other hand, if I was to say to you what's missing in your life, and you say to me money, I would say, well, money is very symbolic. So yes, we all need money, but money represents something to you. So what does the money thing represent to you? Chances are it represents stability, it represents safety, it represents security. So then we go down a layer deeper and we go, okay, since money represents safety and security, that means you're not feeling secure right now. So what is it that makes you feel not secure? Is it because of your life circumstances, or is it because at the end of the day, you don't feel secure in your own skin? And chances are, if you're hiding, if you're wearing a mask, you don't feel secure in your own skin. So you need to dig deeper and ask yourself why. I love doing these things because to me it's like a treasure hunt. I freaking love it. And you begin to discover yourself in such a way that you begin to have this, I didn't know type feeling. And that opens you up. It begins to shift things. Always remember, The moment you begin to see things from a different perspective is the moment you shift vibrationally. It is impossible for you to shift vibrationally and not have your world shift as a result. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. The moment you change the way you connect with somebody is the moment your dynamic with that person changes. Therefore, that dynamic, that change dynamic will present different results, right? It's no different. So what are your priorities? Are you a priority to yourself, or is everything else a priority but you? Some of your priorities may not be as important as they once were. Some of your priorities are not your priorities at all. They're somebody else's priorities. But you've chosen to take on that priority as yours. And if that's the case, ask yourself why. So it's worth examining these things, because generally these are the things that keep us away from happiness. And our job is to be more with the flow, is to go more with the flow. And when we're very rigid, when we try to resist, when we're not accepting what is, we're not going with the flow. We're resisting. And remember, when we resist, that is where the most discomfort happens. That is where we feel most pain. So notice what things in your life are you resisting? What are you resisting letting go of, for example? What are you resisting to bringing somebody in, or to be open to bringing somebody in? What are you resisting? And generally, when you ask yourself in meditation these questions, you'll get an answer. It's actually quite easy. The only problem is our head, because intuitively we'll get an answer and boom, then it goes to our head and we try to go, what does this mean? What if it's not? What if I'm making this up? Right? So it requires some patience. It requires some patience and diligence. And most importantly, it requires you to put yourself on a pedestal. And I don't mean the type of pedestal that you say, I'm the best and nobody is as good as me. No, I mean making yourself be important, making yourself feel important, taking yourself seriously, making sure that you feel as good about yourself as you feel about other people, or you give yourself as much focus as you give other people. Okay? And with that said, that's all I have for you. I'm looking at the clock and it's 4:44. And that's a foundation number for me. So a lot of structural changes in your life. Predominantly the way your thoughts and beliefs are structured. And seems like you're paving a way, or paving a new way, in terms of how you see things, how you approach things, what things you value, what things you are no longer valuing, what your priorities are, what your priorities are no longer. And that's a good thing. So take this month of December and maybe a little bit of January to take an inventory of your life and see what no longer works, what no longer fits, what no longer resonates with you, and action it accordingly. All right? I do wish you a wonderful month of December. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you are celebrating. I wish you wonderful holidays. For private sessions, of course, that information is down below. I would love to hear your comments or see your comments. I love seeing your comments. I read every single one. And with that said, have yourself a wonderful month of December. Remember, if these don't make sense to you right away, listen to it later, and take care of yourself, and I look forward to seeing you soon.